I've decided to start a brand new Stocks and Shares ISA account investing £150 a month, and I'm going to document the entire process for you to see. Because I still remember feeling totally overwhelmed as a complete investing beginner, not knowing where to start, but now 9 years on, I kind of know what works and admittedly what doesn't. So today I'm going to share if I had to start an investment portfolio over again, here's exactly what I would do from scratch. But before I'm prepared to invest a single pound of my hard-earned money, I have two questions: where to invest and what to invest in. So let me start with the where, because that actually surprised me. In doing my annual review of the best Stocks and Shares ISA providers, I received this email from a company called Lightyear, and they sent me this briefing document announcing major pricing reductions on the platform, which include a reduction in FX fees from 0.35% to 0.1%. Trading fees have been removed from the general investment account, although I'm not really interested in that today as I'll be using their tax-free Stocks and Shares ISA instead. And the big one being that the Stocks and Shares ISA remains commission-free. This got me thinking that this now has to be one of the lowest cost platforms available on the market today for UK investors, beating even the likes of Trading 212 when it comes to FX fees. When taking a look at platform pricing, when using their own comparison tool, which of course may be a little bit biased based on the brokers that they've selected, you can see they're now cheaper than the major brokers like Trading 212, AJ Bell, Interactive Investor, and Hargreaves Lansdown. And as I do already use Lightyear for their business account, I thought I'd give their Stocks and Shares ISA a run and just show how much I could potentially grow this account by over the course of the next year ahead. Now, if you do want to follow along here, you can scan the QR code up here on screen and open an account with Lightyear, who are currently offering all new customers one free fractional share or ETF of your choice, which is pretty cool, up to the value of £100. For transparency, this is an affiliate link, but it comes at no extra cost to use, so thanks so much if you do go on to use it. Once scanned, download the app in the App Store, click sign up. I'm going to enter my email and password, enable my Face ID. It'll then ask me to enter my phone number and personal details. I'll let you follow the rest of the sign up process though, as it's pretty straightforward. If you didn't manage to use the QR code, you can also swipe left, click settings, enter the promo code Mitch, and you'll still qualify for that one free fractional share or ETF of your choice. All you need to do is deposit £100 into your account and complete verification. Always remember though that when investing, your capital is at risk and the value of your investments can go down as well as up. Okay, so here's the stock size. So the account is open and sat at 0, but the first very important question that I need to ask myself before I go any further is, what do I invest my £150 a month in here? With any investment made, it should be really important that you understand the reasons why you're making that investment. You can take a look through the app and see all of the different investment options available, and of course do your own research. But let me share with you the 3-step process that I follow before investing any of my hard-earned money. The first step in the process is to understand my investing parameters. Those parameters being, the investment should provide long-term growth, it should be low maintenance, I should be comfortable to invest in it monthly, and of a reasonable level of risk to balance that with a return. Based on my understanding of my own parameters, I can then move on to step 2 in the process, which is what type of investment do I want to make that is aligned to those parameters. Do I opt for individual stocks or ETFs? Do I want to be UK focused, or do I want global exposure instead? Well, let me show you a little bit more about how I thought about this, because it's, like I've said, probably one of the most important things to consider, yet most people probably skip this. And to do that, I'm going to need to show you part of my weekly shop in order to demonstrate this. This right here is an Apple, of course, but in the context of this video, let's pretend it's Apple stock, one of the most globally recognized brands on the planet. And if you were to have invested £1,000 in Apple stock 5 years ago, congrats, because today you'd be sat on £2,080. That's a success story that entices people to invest in individual stocks, but it's not a universal success story amongst all investable companies. Take this Aero bar, for example, produced by a company called Nestle. If you had invested £1,000 into Nestle stock 5 years ago, today that would be worth £740. To be honest, I'm a little bit more of a Cadbury's fan myself, but this one would sting a little bit. But it just goes to show that not every stock is potentially a good one. So let's do a couple more, shall we? This bar of soap, however, made by a company called Unilever, a £1,000 investment in this stock 5 years ago, today would be worth £960. Another loser. But let's take one more. What about Coca-Cola, made by the company Coca-Cola? Well, a £1,000 investment in Coke stock 5 years ago would today be worth £1,040. 4 products, 4 different stocks, completely selected at random. 50% of them had a positive performance, but only 25% of them outperformed the S&P 500 that returned 70% over the same time period. But I get it, that's not really an accurate sample size in terms of concluding that individual stocks are perhaps not the best way to go in terms of an investment strategy. However, somebody called Hendrik Bessenbinder did a much larger piece of research looking at the performance of individual stocks at scale. 26,000 stocks to be exact in his 2018 research paper, and he found that the single stock strategy underperformed the value-weighted market over the full 90 years in 96% of the simulations that he did. Think about that for a second. 96% of the time, you would have probably just been better off buying into some kind of market tracking index as opposed to trying to cherry pick individual stocks instead. So to eliminate that single stock risk within my own portfolio, it was quite an easy decision to make, and that was to conclude that I would land on buying some kind of exchange traded fund. Because when I'm buying an ETF, I'm not guessing anymore, and if Unilever drops the soap, well, then the Coke balances it out. I'm sure there's some kind of dad joke in there somewhere, but nonetheless, when buying an ETF, it's not like picking individual products, if you like, individual stocks. Instead, it's like buying the whole shopping trip. Hundreds or potentially thousands of stocks all in one single investment, but which one do I pick? Well, this is where most investors can go wrong. They default to what they know, UK companies, UK brands, UK markets, because it kind of feels safe and feels familiar. But this is where some investors go wrong. Because if I just grab my globe for 1 second, and if I find the UK, which is somewhere up here, you can see we are one tiny little spot on this massive planet full of 194 other nations. Now, I will admit that not all of these other nations are perhaps as investable as others, but nonetheless, the UK itself only makes up for about 3.5% of the investable market. So if you are only investing in the UK here, then you're actually missing out on 96% of the investable opportunity on the planet, which over a long enough time period, hoping that the UK market outperforms is quite the risk to take with the long-term value of your investment portfolio, especially considering the FTSE 100, which is the UK's top 100 companies, has actually fairly underperformed European stock markets and the US stock markets quite considerably over the last 2 decades. So putting all of your eggs in the UK shopping basket, to go back to earlier's analogy, was only a guarantee for underperformance, because you would have missed out on companies like Apple and Amazon and Nvidia and Google and Microsoft, because none of those are UK listed companies. Global diversification isn't just a nice to have, and actually, in my view, now we're living in a world which just feels more fragmented, and political tensions between nations for political reasons, which we won't discuss today. I believe that having global diversification is super important, because it means that I can spread my investments across multiple different countries, which means I'm not reliant on one country's economy, one country's government, or one country's political policies. When one of the regions underperforms, then the others carry the weight, which made this decision quite straightforward in that I didn't just want UK exposure, and instead I wanted global exposure. This leads me on to part 3 of the process, which is to select my investments. There, of course, isn't just one global ETF over on Lightyear, and in actual fact there are 36 funds in total. But I have narrowed it down because there are actually only 10 listed in Great British pounds. From my research, I could instantly remove these 3, because whilst global, some of them have further niched down, like this one, which just covers small cap stocks, or this one, which is heavily weighted towards dividend paying stocks. I then want a distributing fund, so the dividends are paid out to me. You can see this within an investment if it's labeled up as DIST or DIST, because that stands for distributing, which means I can remove a further 5. The reason for this is right now I do plan to reinvest those dividends that I'm receiving in cash, but hopefully at some point in the future, when this portfolio hopefully is big enough to do so, I may actually want to live off perhaps some of those dividends, or take those dividends as cash to be able to spend perhaps in a few decades from now. And that means that I'm now left with these final 2. To be honest, it's much of a muchness now in terms of the funds, the fees and the performance and that kind of stuff. The Vanguard fund is the much larger one, which certainly helps with liquidity. And it's also the one that I've got over on Trading 212. So if I do decide to do some kind of ISA transfer one day, then it would just be the most simplistic one to have, as it's mostly aligned with the portfolio that I have elsewhere. Of course, no shade on the HSBC fund. I'm sure it's a pretty good one, but this isn't a personal recommendation, and it's just what I've decided to invest in based on my own personal circumstances and investment objectives. And do remember, you must always ensure that you go and do your own research before going on to make an investment decision. So that's the thinking behind it, and as it's now the first Monday of the month as at recording, it's a great time to get started. So now let's deposit that first £150 into my account. To do this, make sure that you're in the Lightyear tab, scroll down a little bit and click deposit. You've got a few options to play with here. I'm going to use the recommended option, which is the easy bank transfer option, because I won't incur a fee from making a deposit into the account. However, it is worthwhile me just saying that the Apple Pay and debit card option will incur a fee of 0.6%. So if I click on the easy bank transfer option, and just simply I'm going to now connect it up to my Monzo account in the background and deposit the money. Type in the 150 quid, click continue. It'll then take me over to Monzo, and that's all done. And as you can see, that cash is already held in my account. Now, if I were then to go through the normal search section within the app and then scroll down and find the Vanguard FTSE All World ETF that I'm looking to invest in, then this would happen all manually, and I'd have to set like a calendar reminder each month to remember to do it. However, there is a second option available where all of this takes place automatically, and that's through something called Lightyear Plans. To do this, I'm going to go back into my Lightyear tab, and I'm going to click at the bottom where it says Create a Plan. And then I'm going to create a new plan here, and then I'm going to click Find My Investments. Now, I am looking at a Vanguard FTSE All World, and I want the distributing version but denominated in Great British Pounds, which is the fourth option down. I'm going to click continue. Let's name the plan World Equities, which is just one of their suggestions. And then I have the option to turn on auto investing. If I toggle that on, I can then select when or how frequently I want to invest and the date that I want that money to be invested. And then I can then select how much I want to invest each month. So I'm going to do the £150 as I've said and click done. Now, in terms of how I want to fund the investment, for this to take place completely automatically, I'm going to need to set up a standing order. If I click through, it will then give you Lightyear's account number and sort code that you need to set this up offline in with your own bank account. Now, of course, this is an extra step in the process, which I'm not going to do as of right now, and I'll set this up in the background because I obviously have to log into my own personal bank accounts, which obviously I'm not going to show here on the internet, but you get the picture in terms of how it all works. So for now, I'll just click I'll do this later. I'm going to click continue, and then I'm going to confirm that investment. So the portfolio exists now, and I've now got £150 in order to start this investment journey. But of course, one investment doesn't really tell us anything, and it's actually what happens over the course of the long term that's the most important thing, which I guess we'll find out together. But I want this series to be as helpful for you as it is for me, so be sure to let me know down in the comment section how frequently you'd like this portfolio update to take place, whether it should be monthly or perhaps even quarterly, or whether I should just bolt it on to one of my bigger investment portfolio updates, which I do from time to time. Whilst you're over here though, I've recently compiled 21 of my very best investing tips, which I've gathered over the past 9 years or so of investing. So I think you'll love watching that video next, so be sure to click on that here. With that being said, I'll see you over in the next one.